Hello students, hope you are doing great. I am Revan Siddhaya, your biology educator only at KLM Institute. Today's topic under biology is life processes. Under that particularly respiration will be our topic. So let us define what is respiration. The process of inhaling oxygen and exhaling carbon dioxide is known as respiration. So this is very simple students, isn't it? Before we move on how the respiration takes place and what it does, we should know that nutrition, respiration, transportation, and excretion, all these four life processes are interrelated, students. I have explained this in the life process introduction in my last video. Please go check that out. It is in the description box down below. So how is nutrition and respiration connected? Let us see what happens when you take nutrition, that is when you eat food. How do you get energy? Yes, respiration helps us get us energy from our nutrition. Let's see how does that happen. We all studied in the nutrition part that glucose molecule, that is a carbohydrate. It is a 6 carbon molecule. It is the basic element or basic compound which we gain energy from. That everything, every carbohydrate should break down to glucose to give us energy. So what happens, like how do we get energy from glucose? Let's see, there are three cases. In the first case, it is in the absence of oxygen. It is not present in human students. It is only seen in yeast. I am highlighting here. Yes. See, glucose inside the cytoplasm. Where is it happening? Inside the cytoplasm of yeast. Glucose is converted to pyruvate, a 3 carbon molecule. Okay, plus energy. Here also some energy is released. And in the absence of alcohol, ethanol is produced, a 2 carbon molecule. You can see here, I have mentioned down below how many carbon does each of these compound have. Also, it releases carbon dioxide and a lot of energy. But in this process, there is no oxygen present.
Give your imagination wings. If you're willing to write something, what are you waiting for? Share your ideas and thoughts. Let your ideas reach out to millions. Get your articles published through our blogs for free.
Next, here oxygen is present, but there is lack of oxygen. This happens when there is lack of oxygen. Again, the same step, students. Glucose is converted into pyruvate, and in the lack of oxygen, what is an example of this case is it happens in our body itself, in our muscle cells. Okay, it produces lactic acid plus energy. Okay, what is lactic acid? It is also, you will study that in further classes. It is an optical isomer of pyruvate. You just remember this sentence, but you will understand in further classes as you go detail into the structure. The structure of pyruvate and lactic acid is very similar, but it in the lack of oxygen, it converts, pyruvate converts into lactic acid. So if any of you are athletes, you get muscle spasms or muscle catch, they will tell in common language. That is because of the buildup of lactic acid in your muscles. Let's move on to the third case. In the presence of oxygen, what happens in the same again? Glucose is converted to pyruvate, a 3 carbon molecule. Now, pyruvate in the presence of oxygen gives carbon dioxide, water, plus a lot of energy. Where does this happen? In our mitochondria. So where is mitochondria? This is a cell. Okay, these are the cell organelles. There will be nucleus. This is nucleus. There will be ribosomes. The cell will be filled with cytoplasm. Okay, inside that we can find mitochondria, students. This mitochondria is known as the powerhouse of a cell. Powerhouse of the cell. Why is it called so? Because of this particular reason. It is what breaks down pyruvate and gives out energy, students. You can see here, energy. Energy is the major take on here. And we also know that we inhale oxygen and exhale carbon dioxide. All these three cases can be written down like this because the first step is same here. You can see glucose is broken down into pyruvate and energy. Okay. When you add when you convert pyruvate, then the three processes changes. In the absence of oxygen, this is very easy way to remember. That's why I'm giving it in the this form. Okay. In where does it happen? In yeast. In the absence of oxygen, ethanol is produced. Okay. And also there is the production of carbon dioxide. So where is this used? You know, we use alcohol sanitizers. Now they are very much in use. So there we require ethanol, students. And also it releases energy. Okay. And in the lack of oxygen, I already told you lactic acid is produced, that is built up in our, if it builds up in our muscle during an activity, you will get muscle catch or muscle cramps, whatever you call them, and energy. It happens in our muscles. I'm highlighting all these important parts so that you can remember them easily. In the presence of oxygen, that happens in our mitochondria, gives out energy, carbon dioxide plus water. So you know, like I told you where does mitochondria occur in our cell. We have millions of cells, students. So imagine millions of cells producing little amount of energy that becomes million times more. So that is how we get lot of energy. So what is this energy? Like what is it? In what form is it? It is in the form of ATP, students. All and cellular respiration, all these are called cellular respiration because it happens inside a cell. So all this energy converts, like, is the molecular formula for this energy is ATP. Now students, let us move on to the respiration in plants. So we have all studied what is photosynthesis in nutrition part of the series. So it takes carbon dioxide from atmosphere, it takes H2O from atmosphere. What does it produce? It produces glucose, students. Glucose. It produces a carbohydrate. Glucose is a simple carbohydrate. Okay. Now, that happens when light is present. It happens only when sunlight is present, students, because it is a catalyst. What happens at night? In the night, we studied, still plant needs to respire. So, it takes oxygen inside and it releases carbon dioxide. And we also studied how the exchange of gases happen in case of plants. In the same way, where how it takes carbon dioxide and it gives out oxygen, it in the same way produces it inhales oxygen and exhales carbon dioxide. At night, in the day, photosynthesis happens. In the night, it moves on to respire normally like us. So let us move on to respiration in animals. So first we'll look into aquatic animals, because we don't know, like, it is not in our atmosphere, it is inside the water. How does it respire? How does it get its oxygen? It gets its oxygen by dissolved oxygen. So H2O is not just present purely inside the water. It has a lot of minerals in ponds, in rivers. It has lot of minerals. Along with minerals, it has O2, that is dissolved oxygen. So let us see one video. You will understand very clearly about the respiration in aquatic animals, especially in fishes, students. Okay.
Unlike land animals, almost all fish breathe or get their oxygen from water. Instead of using lungs, fish breathe with organs called gills. Most fish have 4 pairs of gills enclosed in a gill chamber on each side of the head. On the outside of the body, a flap of bone called a gill cover protects the gills of bony fish. To get oxygen, fish gulp water through the mouth and pump it over the gills. In many fish, the breathing process begins when the gill covers close and the mouth opens. The walls of the mouth then move inward. The mouth partially closes and the gill covers open. This action forces the water from the mouth into the gill chambers. The inside of each gill consists of fleshy, thread-like filaments. Water from the mouth passes over the filaments. The filaments are closely spaced along a gill arch in 2 rows. Each filament has many tiny extensions called lamellae. Blood flowing through the lamella takes oxygen from the water and releases carbon dioxide into the water. After the fish receives its oxygen, the water passes out through the gill openings and the breathing process begins again.
Register today at KLM Institute for free online classes, revisions, doubt clearance, private online and offline classes, Olympiad exams, and win prizes, scholarships, and much more.
So students, hope you have understood the aquatic animals, how they respire. This is the video where you can watch the that particular video again. So the difference, the reason for showing you that video is how hard is it for aquatic animals to respire, students. So students, terrestrial animals like us have this respiratory system. That is, this is a very complicated respiratory system. Some have simple respiratory system. Today we are going to look into our respiratory system, that is of humans. So the first air enters into the nasal passage, that is the nose. I have listed down all the organs which we require in our respiratory system. So air enter into the nose. Sometimes it enters through the buccal cavity, but most of the time it enters through nose. Then where does the air go? It goes to the throat. We call it commonly as throat, but it is pharynx. You should practice it to remember as pharynx. Then comes the larynx, which is the voice box. The reason I am able to speak is because of larynx, students. Then comes trachea. You can see trachea here. Okay. This trachea ensures that air is going either in or out. It also has rings of cartilage. You can see these rings here. One is stacked upon the other. One ring is stacked upon the other. So it ensures that there is no leakage in the air passage. Okay. Then comes the important organ that is known as lungs. It hides behind our rib cage, and it consists of three main parts, that is bronchi, bronchioles, and alveolar sac. So bronchi and bronchioles are just like a tree. It branches out, and at the end of the tree branch, what is present? It is present. Leaf is present. So it is very similar to that. Here also, the end of the bronchioles, alveolar sac is present, where the exchange of gases takes place. What is this exchange? It also happens in leaf. So it also happens in alveolar sac. So it is a very similar organ, right? It has the functional part of alveolar sac, and our whole respiratory system is alveoli. You can see here in the diagram I am highlighting. So what it does is, when the blood gets deoxygenated, like when it has used up all its oxygen, it comes near the alveolar sac. It has an air space. When it comes near the alveolar sac, the deoxygenated blood gets oxygen when we inhale. Okay, this is done by alveoli. Millions of alveoli are present. This is, you can see this arrow mark, right? This is just a zoomed version of one particular alveolus. Okay, and millions of such alveoli is present in our body. Okay, and the oxygenated blood gets again moved, and deoxygenated blood comes into that space. So this particular process is known as respiration. So what happens when deoxygenated blood comes? There is an exchange of gas. Okay, oxygen molecules go and sit near the hemoglobin, that is the blood oxygen carrier pigment, which is hemoglobin. Hemoglobin. Okay, it is present in this particular color known as red. This is the carrier of oxygen. It gets easily attached to oxygen molecule. Okay, and carbon dioxide is let out, as we know. So this is the whole process of respiration. These are the parts I have mentioned it. You can remember it very easily. There are only 6 parts, and in the lungs there are only 3 parts. Okay, this is a very easy picture to understand. So when you inhale, what happens is, diaphragm of your body flattens, but your lungs expand. When you exhale, lung contracts and diaphragm expands. Okay, thank you students, hope you have understood. Have a great day.